Andrew, do you think you'll still be assassinated?
That's a very good question. So I have to decide how I'm going to answer this, because every time I'm asked a question as a consummate professional, I think of about 5 different answers. Firstly, the first answer I'll give is that they've already attempted to assassinate me, digitally at least, and my character. That's clear. This whole Matrix attack, the point of it was to digitally assassinate me and destroy my influence. If they accused me of tax evasion or money laundering, nobody would care. So they accuse you of a sex crime. It's not just me. Russell Brand, they got Tucker Carlson, they're after. It's the standardized playbook by the Matrix, because they want to prove to the world you're a very bad person. And there's always people out there who are so stupid that they're going to sit and go, the 85th time this has happened, he's a bad person, and they're going to believe it. What's very interesting about it is not only do they believe it, they also conveniently forget about all the actual sex criminals which work inside of the mainstream media and work for the establishment, because they're only mentioned for a day and then they're put away. Whereas people like me, they'll mention that I am a human trafficker every single day for a year and a half. They have not stopped. When Hugh Edwards sends a picture of his ass somewhere, that's gone in 24 hours. Or Schofield, the first question they ask him, how do you feel? Are you okay? Bro, if you work for the establishment, they protect you. If you work against them, they attempt to digitally assassinate you. So they've already attempted to assassinate me and my character. That's the first thing. The second way I'll answer that question is, there was a time I was public enemy number 1. And I now feel like I'm public enemy number 7. And I think that's because of the election coming up. I'm actually not that overtly political. I think it's pretty clear what my politics are and my overall stance on how the world should be viewed, and masculinity as a whole is something they fear. But I'm not directly political. And I feel like because it's an election cycle, an election year, there's certain other people they might want to put a bullet in first. And you know the age-old adage, you don't have to be the fastest person running from the bear, you just have to be faster than the slowest one. So I feel like perhaps they won't assassinate me this year. Are they trying to put me in jail? For sure, which I guess is another form of assassination. I mean, what's the point of being alive if you're in a cell, cockroaches? And that's done through liberally funded NGOs and the media machine. So for me to answer the question, as a whole, they've already attempted to assassinate me, my character. They're still attempting to assassinate me, put me in jail. Will they put a bullet in me? Maybe next year. But for this year, I should be able to drive my Ferrari, so I bought a couple new ones and we'll be okay.
Yeah, because when I first met you, we did the first episode, you talked through the 3 stages.
Yep.
Counseling.
Yep.
In the media.
Yep.
Imprisonment.
Yep.
And that was about 3 weeks before you went to prison.
That's right. I'm on my last life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that not, you're smiling. Does that not scare the shit out of you?
It does, because it's, you're on a video game and you're on your last life and you really have to pull it off. And I guess it is scary, but then you have to sit and realize that am I afraid? The reason I'm not afraid is because I don't see any other choice. I don't see the point in being afraid because I don't see any other option. If you refuse to fight in a war, you don't eliminate wars, you only eliminate yourself. If you have an opponent who is set on attempting to destroy you, and you say, well, I don't want to fight, that doesn't make the war go away. That just makes you go away. And they're coming for all of us. They're not just coming for me. Who's all of us? They're coming for any single person who has a degree of sovereignty about their mindset. They're coming for anyone who refuses to believe the slave programming, for anyone who wants to have a happy family and a good life, for anyone with any degree of masculine imperative, for anyone who has a degree of individualism. They're coming for all of us, and they're trying to make us all slaves. And I have a massive influence, yes, so I'm a primary target, but they're not just coming for me, they're coming for absolutely everybody else. And I don't see why it would be prudent for me to sit and say, oh, well, they might kill me if I continue to talk, so I'll just shut up. And then maybe they'll kill me later, along with everybody else. I think I'll feel happier in myself knowing that, no, I went down guns blazing. And I think it's pretty obvious now to anyone with a brain what their agenda is. Their agenda is mass surveillance, firstly, because that's how they make money nowadays, via surveillance. Capitalism and surveillance have gone hand in hand, that's the first thing. And second, by extension, is mass slavery. And I know that's coming. So am I afraid? It's kind of like, are you afraid of being struck by lightning if you go outside? What can you do about it? I guess my option is I could take all my money and disappear and shut up. But the war is certain and it's coming for us all anyway. And I've said this on other podcasts, but it's true. You either fight against this garbage they're trying to inject into everybody's minds and you're at war against them, or you believe all the garbage they tell you and you're at war against yourself. If you believe the crap they want you to believe, you're depressed, unhappy, sad, miserable, lonely. So what's the choices? You're going to fight something. I'd rather fight my enemies than fight myself. So yeah, I'm on my last life and I would never kill myself. And I smile every day. It is what it is. My only weapon against all of these people and all this garbage is to smile. There are people sitting in a dark room right now. There are people in a room right now, as we speak, full-grown adults, professionals, trying to put me in jail. There are teams. There's a prosecutor and his underlings sitting there, analyzing my entire life, every message I've ever sent, everywhere I've ever been, everyone I've ever spoken to, ever. As we speak, trying to put me back in a dungeon. At the same time, there are people sitting around trying to cancel me, get me off the internet, make sure I have no influence, no work. They're sitting there. They've frozen all my bank accounts, have taken almost 20% of my car collection. Almost. They've put me in jail, and they've done all this to me, and they're sitting there trying to attack me. And I smile. That's my weapon. That's my weapon. Take me to fucking jail. I don't care. And that resilience is how I fight against them, because I believe this is a spiritual war more than anything else. The reason they're trying to attack me is because I'm seen as a hero to so many young boys. And that inspires bravery in the young boys. So they're trying to kill the hero. So I can't allow them to make me sad or miserable or depressed. I refuse. And it's all done on purpose to deliberately attack masculinity. It's not safe to be a man. You can't be a man and have normal relations with women in any regard without it being used against you if they so wish. Every single man watching this podcast is guilty. You are all human traffickers. You're all manipulative. You're all controlling. You're all emotionally abusive. All of you can go to jail if you piss off the government enough. And they will find some girl who said, he emotionally coerced me because he wouldn't let me go drinking with a bunch of men. And I felt controlled. And she'll do a domestic violence report, even though you've never touched her, for controlling behavior. And they will drag you to a police interview and sit you down. They will then take your mobile phone. They will go through your phone and find every other girl you've ever spoken to, see if they can get some other statements against you. They'll also find the time you sold your t-shirt on eBay and didn't pay taxes. And you, sir, are going to jail. All of you are guilty. If you are a man, you are guilty of everything all of the time. And this is done on purpose, because if you're a man like me who stands up and tells the truth, they already know you're guilty. So they're like, oh, okay, he's guilty of something. Teach him a lesson. You're living in a state of society as a man now where you're all permanently, your head's on the chopping block. And the only way you can not have the guillotine come down and take it off is to be quiet and meek and not to talk too much. Don't tell the truth. No. And that's the world we're living in now. And the crazy thing about it, I say all of this, and 70% of people sit there and go, yeah, it's true. If you're a man, you're perfectly guilty, and they keep it all over your head, and they try and make you scared to tell the truth because they'll punish you. There are still 30% of people out there who believe Andrew Tate became the most famous, most Googled man in the world speaking against government and authority. But they didn't put him in jail for that. They put him in jail because of TikTok, because he's a human trafficker. There are people that stupid. And these people get to vote. These people are usually the ones they put on the news. These people run the liberal NGOs. These people are teachers. These people are lawyers. People are police officers. You want to talk about how messed up society is? Sit me down with the average police officer and let me talk to him for 5 minutes, and I'll prove to you conclusively that they are stupid. All of them. And they're in charge of your life, these people. Give me the average primary school teacher on a Monday morning after she's been drinking all weekend. And let's sit her down and see who's educating our children. Whole world's a mess. And these people will sit there and go, yeah, he's a human trafficker. I think he's a human trafficker because the BBC told me. Oh, the BBC told you. Oh, well, it must be true. Clown world. Clown world. It is no longer safe to be a man on any level. So when you ask me, because I like to go back to previous points we made, I think it's nice to be cyclical. You asked me about the fact that, am I afraid they're going to put a bullet in my head? They're going to put a bullet in all our heads. Do you understand? At least I get to die first. At least they remember my name. If we all have to jump off the cliff, at least I get to go first. Wait, lads. Well, Andrew Tate went first. Because we're all gonna die. The only way to stay alive as a man now is to not be a man anymore. To be a chick.
Are you hard on yourself? Like I don't pick up much sympathy about anything from you. I don't know you really well, so maybe a judgment from where I'm sitting, but are you hard on yourself, and do you sometimes lack sympathy or self-love?
Am I hard on myself? Yes. Does that benefit me? I believe so. I'm hard on myself because life is hard. I think
But could life be easier if you thought life was easy? Because isn't life what you see, not what it is?
What's the point in having an easy life? Why would I want an easy life? If someone were to say to me, do you want an easy life? I'd say, that sounds boring. I mean, did Genghis Khan want an easy life? Did Alexander the Great want an easy life? Did any of the men you can remember from history, any of the ones that actually matter, ever want an easy life? If I meet a man and he says, I want an easy life, I just want a stress-free life, I look at him and think, you're born to lose. You're born to lose, sir. You can have your stress-free life, and you can serve me my latte, and you can fuck off. Because you're not made to, life is war. And it's going to be stressful. And
Life isn't always war.
Of course it is. Life is war. Every single aspect of life is war. Not losing your temper in traffic on your way to a podcast is war. Trying to get a girl that the other guy wants is war. Trying to buy a Ferrari that everybody else can't afford is war. Training is war. Fighting is war. Life is war. I see war everywhere. When I see a big, beautiful oak tree, I don't see a big, beautiful oak tree. I see a tree that destroyed all the saplings around it and crushed them mercilessly. It's war. Life is war. So that's how I view it. I guess the only disadvantage of being so hard on myself, because I don't see any disadvantages, because I have zero self-sympathy. I blame myself for absolutely everything. Even this Matrix attack. I want to make it very clear. I'm not looking for sympathy on any level. I'm not an idiot. I ran my mouth on the internet for a very long time. I pissed off very important, powerful people. And they put me in a jail cell. I sat there in jail like, well, I'm here for the wrong reasons, but all in all, fair enough.
The universe is giving me I gave it.
You know, you run your mouth and you piss people off, they're going to try and teach you a lesson. That's how the world works. Like, I'm not going to sit there and feel sorry for myself. I guess the only disadvantage of being so hard on myself is that I'm extremely hard on others. And some people find me difficult to deal with for that reason. They'll be like, oh, I'm struggling with this. I'm like, I do not give. It has to be done at this time. Oh yeah, but. I don't care. You will lose your job if it's not done at this time. That's the bottom line. And I guess I can be ruthless, but why would I have sympathy for somebody else I don't have for myself? If I'm going to be so strict on myself, why would I allow sympathy for others? If I know I'm going to do it, I'm going to hold them to my standard. No? So I guess to a degree I can come across as unempathetic to others, I guess. But at least I'm not a hypocrite, you know? Yeah. And I also like to believe that because I lead from the front, I'm not a armchair general. I'm suffering myself. So if I'm going to suffer and I'm going to perform and I'm going to get everything I need to do done, then I expect absolutely the same from everybody around me, or they're not going to be around me anymore. So am I hard on myself? Yes. Will that change? No. Life is war. Life is hard. You're supposed to be hard on yourself. Perhaps most men would benefit from being a lot harder on themselves. I think I see a lot of men coming up with a lot of excuses for permanent failure. I see it all the time. Why? I can't pay my bills. Okay, cool. Why? Oh, you know, because it's hard. It's all just sympathy bull. I don't want to hear it. It's garbage. It's hard. It's hard for everybody, and you're gonna have to just be harder on yourself and pull it off, or fail. And don't talk to me. Bro, it's. I don't know what to say. I don't want to come across as a psychopath, but it's like life is difficult. And also, I mean, we all know that there's always someone who has it worse, but that's true. I mean, we're in Romania. You can drive 5 hours to the border, and you'll find men in a ditch getting blown apart by drones. You're crying over what? A bitch left you? A girl left you? Some chick who doesn't love you anymore? And you're not going to do your work because of it? Well, then you're just born to lose.
So will you be flippant when you said 11 wives, or have you got 11 wives?
I can't let the Matrix know everything.
Because
There's always going to be. It's all attack vectors.
Yeah,
I have to smoke screen because it's all attack vectors, and the largest attack vector for a man will always be women. I don't know if most men understand this, that the easiest way to get a man in any regard is a woman, because women have basically no OPSEC in general.
Explain no OPSEC, sorry.
They have no operational security. They have no OPSEC. So if my brother and I go somewhere, I know that unless I want people to know I'm there, no one will know I'm there. If we bring either of our girlfriends, sooner or later, if it's the corner of a cup on an Instagram story, or
chicken box,
or yeah, that's right. Yeah, do I get that one? Yeah. No, that's true. But they knew where I lived anyway. I didn't get raided for pizza. They knew exactly where I was. But women aren't very good at operational security, firstly. Secondly, women are easy to scare, as they should be. So if you need to, your woman can love you with all her heart. But if they want to find out where you are and they kidnap your wife, she's going to tell them.
Yeah.
Of course she is. If the police interview her, she's going to tell them. Of course she is. Women are the attack vector. And I'm talking about this from a law enforcement perspective. I can also talk about it from my previous life. If I had an enemy and I wanted to get hold of him and I couldn't get hold of him, or I couldn't find it, we just find his chick. She'll tell us. Or you at least watch her. Yeah. She'll give it up. Every single time she'll make a mistake. Because women don't have this combative mentality. And I wouldn't want a woman who does.
Because that's a man.
Because that's a man.
But you don't want a man.
Exactly. You want a woman. Yeah. So I'm not being misogynistic. I'm saying that the kind of woman I like who's truly feminine, who I'd want to be with, is a primary target. Law enforcement know this too. Law enforcement will arrest a man. Let's make up a hypothetical situation. Hypothetical. Let's imagine there's a guy called Top T. Top T is arrested. Top T is accused of human trafficking. He's accused of human trafficking because he told 2 of his friends what hours to post on TikTok. The law enforcement know it's garbage. Everybody knows it's garbage. The primary objective in this hypothetical story is to put the man in jail, use the media machine to slander him, and to drum up a real case. Because he's now in jail, they've got some months to find something real. Because all they have now is TikTok is stupid. So they call all of his ex-girlfriends or every girl he's ever interacted with, and they sit down and say, were you a victim of Andrew? And they say, a victim of what? He never did anything to me. He never hurt me. He never hit me. Ah, but did he manipulate you? What does that mean? Manipulate me to do what? He took me to dinner. What do you mean manipulate? Then what they do is they bring out a league table in this hypothetical scenario. They bring out literally a league table, a spreadsheet, after going through this imaginary person's bank accounts, saying, well, where did he take you for dinner? Here. Oh, where else did he take you? Here, here, here. Okay, that he spent maybe, I don't know, 8,000 euro on you. Do you know he bought this girl this? Do you know he spent this much on this girl? Do you know he went here with this girl? And he'll put together a league table with financials next to each name, almost like the Premier League. You're number 13. Watch her sit there and go, I loved him. I'm number 13. Why'd that get diamonds? That's the beginning of the 6-hour interview. And they'll pressure her and try and get her to agree to some manipulation, or she was just because she was sad. They don't care if it's real. They just want the signature. So women are the attack vector. So if you're a man with any kind of past and they get their league tables in order and they get their stories in order and they got their surveillance photos of when you went to the same restaurant with the girl she doesn't like, and they get it all together and they start putting it down in front of you, that woman who you took care of, who you spent time with, who was very happy with your interactions, who loved you, is now being weaponized against you. Women are the number 1 attack vector for a man, by law enforcement and by your enemies. If you're a man out here and you're dating 3 or 4 women, please understand that if I was the police or if I wanted you dead, we would look at those 3 or 4 women and work out how to use them against you. That's the bottom line. I was talking to my brother yesterday where I was saying that I believe currently there's this global competition between women who have found themselves a simp of who can cuck their man the hardest on TikTok.
Fucking words crack me up.
Bro, but it's true. You see these women, they're like, I found my perfect man and he bought me they run around with their phone. Yeah. He bought me all these Louis Vuitton bags. He bought me this car and I'm out now with my girlies for coffee with my allowance and he's going to give me a $3 million wedding and I'm going to wear a white dress. And she's just advertising the subservience of her man. She's just saying, my man's a slave. He's a simp because twice a month he might get lucky. And I'm going to advertise to all the other women on TikTok how well I've got my slave behaving. I'm going to cuck him publicly. And it's like a big global competition. And I see these TikToks of this insanity and I'm like, I'm a billionaire. And my woman, yeah, she's looked after, of course. But if she was running around making TikToks like this, I'd be like, you better delete that account or get a fucking job. I think they're hiring over at McDonald's, young lady. You want to go buy $10,000 bags and talk about that. She's not doing that to show appreciation to her man. Absolutely not. She's doing it to show status to other women. She's showing off. And the worst thing about it is people will have her convinced, or the world will have you convinced, that woman's now happy with her man. She isn't. She doesn't respect him, which means she's miserable anyway, which is why she's so obsessed with money and cars and garbage, because she's miserable. If a woman really loves you, she doesn't even care about that stuff. So there's a global competition to cuck your man, and that's part of the psyop inside of the Matrix, because they're trying to destroy the idea of interpersonal dynamics, because that's where happy families come from, which inspires resistance. A woman's happy when she has a man she truly looks up to and truly respects. She's not going to respect you if you're a bank. Take it from a very rich man. If you're nothing but a bank, she ain't going to respect you. If she respects you and gets rewarded and gets presents and is taken care of course. But if you are simply a bank account to her, she's not going to respect you. Why do these rich men's wives sleep with the gardener? It's the gardener. He's broke as a joke. Because they don't respect you.
Why do you call women bitches and hoes?
I don't call them hoes. I say a bitch left you, and I say it because if a man's talking about his woman leaving him, I guess it's a detrimental way, because he's obviously mad at her. I'm actually going to make this clear. I no longer prescribe to the asinine, the parameters of these attack words they use. These words like misogynistic, and homophobic and racist. All these words are just attack.
They're weapons.
They're weapons.
Yes.
And they're weaponized so that you don't have an opinion on certain subjects. I have opinions on females, and I have opinions on males. I have opinions on cats and dogs and the rain and the sunshine. I have opinions on certain things, and some of them are generalized. I believe in general, men should go and die in a war. Do I hate men? Because I think they should be blown apart. I also believe women can't park cars very well. Shoot me, put me in jail, put me back with the cockroaches. Oh no, he said it. These are my observations I've come through my life. The number of times I've seen a woman struggling to parallel park, I can't even imagine. And someone can come to me and say, oh, but the insurance statistics, don't care about matrix statistics, uninterested. I have seen with my own eyes their failures at parallel parking. That's my belief. Am I a misogynist? No. Do I hate them? No. It's just an observation I have. And this whole word is weaponized anyway. So I no longer prescribe to these parameters. It's all assassininities, which I no longer prescribe to. I have opinions on everything and everyone. We say that, you say, why do you call women? I just call men kids. I just said you're a loser. I just called men losers. Nobody cares. Nobody cares when I call men losers or brokies. But if I say some woman who breaks a man's heart, oh, she's evil. Oh, then I'm a misogynist. They're a protected class. And I don't think it should be that way. I think that if we're going to live in a society where women are equal to men, which is fine.
Do you think women are equal to men?
In certain respects, women are superior to men. But I think we're very different. There are certain areas in which a woman will outperform a man, and there are certain areas in which a man will outperform a woman. That makes me a misogynist by modern standards because you can't mention the areas in which a man will outperform a woman. But women are definitely better than men at a lot of things. Like, would you drop your child off at an all-male daycare? I have a 3-year-old daughter. Would you leave her with 20 men all day? It's a question. I don't know.
Dead by the afternoon.
Well, then you believe in gender roles. Why do you believe in gender roles?
Well, yeah, I believe women are better at certain things and men are better at certain things. Absolutely. Naturally, biologically.
Absolutely. So
evolutionarily.
Completely. So there you go. So now you believe in gender roles, which is the number one thing they hate the most. So when I say there's gender roles and a man should lead because a man is calmer under pressure, then they have a mental breakdown. But we have roles in which we perform our best, right? And I think that everybody with a functioning brain doesn't get offended by that obvious reality, knows it's true. There are certain scenarios where a man will perform better than a woman and certain scenarios where a woman will perform better than a man. And we exist best as a species when the woman does what she's best at and the man does what he's best at. If you have a tailor and an accountant and they want to open a company together, well, that company will be most successful if the tailor makes the clothes and the accountant does the accounting. It's not going to do very well if you try and mix it up or they start arguing with each other saying, I can be an accountant just as well as you can. And the accountant's like, well, I can make a shirt. Now what? You have a mess. And then they fail. And that's what's happening right now in Western society. Why can our countries no longer compete by basically any metric? Well, because everything's a mess. And you go deeper on the rabbit hole. You ask yourself, are they trying to make this mess on purpose? And then you work out they are. Then you work out who they are and all these liberally funded NGOs and why they're doing it, how they're trying to make us all slaves by destroying masculinity. The first thing you have to do if you want to enslave a populace is destroy the people who defend the population, which are always going to be the men because the men fight. The days of old, they'd come in and just kill all the military-age males. Now they just neuter us. Then you have me.
When you say neuter us, you mean remove our masculinity?
Absolutely. Yeah, they neuter us. We're now living in a world where if a man is remotely masculine in any way, he's attacked for it. If I say my wife isn't allowed to talk to other men, mental breakdowns, they're about to put me on BBC One this morning, all over the front of the Guardian, whoever watches this crap. Andrew Tate's toxically masculine, he's controlling, he's evil in his heart. Why? Because my woman's not allowed to go party with a bunch of dudes? One, she doesn't want to. That's the first thing. She doesn't want to. Secondly, if I had a wife and she said, I want to go party with Mike and Nathan, I'd be like, whoa. Who's Mike and who's Nettie? No, you're not. And if she says, well, I'm going to do it, I'll say, fine, then I'm not your husband. Goodbye. I'm not going to attack her. I'm not going to beat her up, but I have standards. Once again, they attack masculinity because masculinity is based on parameters and standards. That's what masculinity is. Masculinity has always been, traditionally, defending a border. Let's go back a couple thousand years. What did the men do? This is our land. If you come here, you have to fight us. That's all masculinity ever was. So masculinity in and of itself is built around enforcing parameters. And you enforce parameters with your children, in your business, in your relationship, in your friendships. That's what you do as a man. But you're not allowed to now. That's how they attack masculinity. You have to accept everything, especially from women. If you don't accept everything from women all of the time, you're a misogynist. If you have any standards whatsoever, you're a bad person. You're not even allowed standards in how a woman looks. Here, let me get sent back to jail. I don't find fat women attractive. If a woman says, I don't find short men attractive, who cares? Nobody. If I say fat women aren't attractive, they're about to put me once again, good morning, fat shaming, misogynistic, that they're going to attack me for having a standard. Why am I not allowed a standard as a man? They have standards. In fact, I'd argue women have higher standards than anyone. Ask the average woman on the street what she wants in a man. The average woman. I don't want him to be short. I want him to be rich. I want him to be smart. I want him to be interesting, charismatic. He has to be spontaneous, and he has to love my family, and he has to love my dog. And then she'll go on for 25 minutes about what she wants. All I'm saying is put the donuts down, and they want to throw me back in jail. All I'm saying is don't eat so much pie. Whole thing is hypocritical, and it's garbage. And that's why this whole misogynistic attack is garbage. And they're doing it specifically so that men don't have any standards anymore. And that's why they're trying to neuter us. Because if you have standards, especially in your household, the number one thing that's going to inspire you to resistance is sticking up for defending your family. By extension, your town. By extension, your nation. If they attack it at the nucleus, if they attack it at the very beginning, if you don't feel like a man in your own house, if you have no control and influence over your own castle, why do you care about what happens to your town or your city or your country? And then they come along with this enslavement and you're just like, oh, well, okay, I guess. And you just sit there and just end up a slave, waiting for the QR code to be stamped on your head, for the camera to detect if you're allowed to walk down that street, or you get fucking a bullet in your head from the robot sniper. That's where it's all going. So they don't like masculinity. Masculinity is no good to them. Masculinity was only good to them if we'd go and die in wars. And now a lot of men have woken up to that stupid. We're not going to do that anymore. And they've got good enough technology, they can just send some planes or some cruise missiles and blow up whatever farmer needs to die for freedom. Some poor innocent farmer who made $3 his entire life, he needs to be blown apart by a $600,000 missile, otherwise you won't be free to get a coffee. So they're going to go do that. So what do they need masculinity for? Because we have parameters. They don't want us to have parameters. They want us to accept everything. And they started with this feminism garbage. God was the solution to everything. That's why they're trying to remove it. They have to remove God, so they can attack all of these different institutions with these insane ideologies. And these ideologies are weaponized virtue. I am the number one target for weaponized virtue. But all the ideologies are so poisonous.
Because they're not reality, they're ideology.
Well, absolutely they're not reality. I did a podcast, it's a clip that should be a lot more famous, where I was sitting, on the Fresh and Fit podcast, I was sitting with a bunch of women, and we were arguing literally about how men and women can do the same things. And women can do everything a man can do. And I was being deliberately comedic as to not decimate them absolutely intellectually. I was making them laugh and telling them they're all wrong. And then an intruder tried to break in to the podcast studio. And me and the other men got up. Primarily me, I think he was saying my name at first, to go and deal with this intruder in Miami who could have easily been armed. And all the women, quite rightly, got very afraid and started hiding. And when I sat back down, I was like, okay, well that just proved all your garbage wrong, didn't it? So all of these ideologies, there's another thing that's interesting about them, is that they only exist in a vacuum. You only get to discuss feminism when you're living in a society where life is pretty easy. In the bare struggles of survival, there's no time to discuss feminism or the climate or LGBT. All this garbage only exists in a vacuum. And the vacuum that they're existing in is a very safe society which has been built by heterosexual males, families, built by people who are going to get up and go to work, built by people who don't believe in depression or anxiety or these mental health garbage. We've built a society that allows this cancer to foster. And it's kind of sad, really, that the reward for building such a beautiful society off the backs of strong, diligent, hardworking men is for them to be demonized, attacked, permanently guilty under the judicial system, and then told that they're bad people for holding a worldview, which is the exact worldview they needed to hold to be useful to society in the first place. Did you hear about the Iceland strike?
No.
Bro. So Iceland, which I would probably argue, don't ban me from Iceland, government, I'm just talking. Chill. I haven't even been yet. They're going to ban me. They're going to end up saying, he's not allowed here. I'm sure it's very nice. Iceland, which I would argue, is probably going to be one of the most liberal countries in the world, I'd argue. I'd also argue that women are treated pretty fairly in Iceland. So all the women in Iceland decide to go on a strike because they don't get paid enough in Iceland, where I'm sure they're paid the same as men. So 100,000 women went on strike. which is a third of the population of the country, for 4 whole days. And they went on this strike to prove, I think even the prime minister, well, they're definitely going to ban me. The prime minister went on strike herself. So for 4 days, none of the women worked. A third of the entire country, 0% of the female workforce went to work to prove how important women were. Do you know what happened?
Tell me.
Nothing. The roads still worked. The traffic lights still worked. There was still electricity. The police still turned up. The firemen still turned up because the men do the real work. Oh, there was no HR department for 4 days. What are we going to do about the gender equality diversity department? Turns out that they just proved themselves wrong, because if for 4 days all the men didn't go to work, society would crumble instant. And it's a shame that it is the men which are so vital to society, which are the ones which are permanently demonized.
You know, you're converting to Islam.
Yeah.
Was that kind of like a PR stunt?
Absolutely not. I think that it is the last religion on earth. If you believe in God, you're a Muslim. What's a Christian?
Well, what's a Muslim? What's any other religious belief?
If you do not have strong parameters because of your religious belief, then you're not religious. And Christians no longer have strong parameters. Everyone says they're a Christian. Nobody acts like a Christian. I don't respect it anymore, and that's why I had to revert to Islam. I was raised in a Christian household. My family's actually extremely religious. I live in a very Christian nation. But I don't see Christianity. This is the most Christian nation on earth, and you do see it. If I drive into the mountains, you'll see nuns. There's nunneries. They have huge churches here. You can see it a little bit in Romania. Can feel the Christian aspect to it. But in general, if you look at most Christian countries in the West, it's insane. A man just got charged with a hate crime for removing the head of a devil statue that Satanists had put inside a church. And he took the head off it, and he is being charged with a hate crime. Him, in a Christian country. And you don't talk about Christianity.
Well, no, I don't.
Oh, well, there you go. Christianity has lost all of its merits as a religion. If you do not have strong parameters of what is right and what is wrong, and if you're afraid to say them, go up to a Christian and say, is homosexuality allowed? Do you agree with it? And they're going to pussyfoot around the question. They're going to say, well, you people can make their own choices. God loves everyone. The Bible says no. The Quran says no. You're homophobe. The Quran says no. Done. I'm not going to be part of a religion or adhere to a religion that doesn't have strict beliefs, because then it's not a religion anymore. If you tolerate everything, you stand for nothing. So there's only Islam left. Now, I'm not going to insult Christians. I believe that there's one God. So if you truly believe in God, I don't see how you could not want to be a Muslim. I don't see how you can feel any pride in being a Christian anymore. And that's why I reverted. I feel like it's a very easy choice for anyone who truly believes in God. And if you don't believe in God, in the world we're currently in, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because God is the only one who can fix this mess. So you better start believing, because you're going to need him. And I guarantee...
But can't you have faith in yourself and your ability?
No.
Why not?
Because we're all human and we're all fallible. And it only takes a judge with a stamp, as I can tell you, to end your capabilities here on earth. We're going to need God to fix this mess, because we're going to need a global awakening of consciousness. We need people to realize they've been lied to from head to toe. We need paradigms to break. And when paradigms break, things often get chaotic and messy, and wars come before a new paradigm is installed.
Isn't that just the rise and fall of empires?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to hope that new paradigm being installed is better than the old one. And what we need, once again, is for people to love each other and care about their community and care about their children and care about one another. We need God more than ever. You can't replace God with anything else. You can't replace it with money. You can't replace it with government. And you also need God to inspire bravery. If you don't believe in God, how can you be brave in the face of assassination? It's only God. If I had to go into the cage and fight a man, and one was an atheist, and one truly believed that Allah had decided that he was going to destroy me, I know who I'd choose to fight. I'd fight the atheist all day long. Mr. Evolution. Cool. I'll fight him. You're going to need faith in God to win this war, because it's only faith in God that's going to make you say, no, I believe in X. I love my family. I love where I live. God wants me to tell the truth and stand up for what is right, despite the fact that I am persecuted for it. We need more God. Why are all the people in charge of the world trying to get rid of God if he's not their enemy? That's the only thing they fear. The only thing they fear is people waking up and saying, no, this is wrong. It is morally wrong. And for that reason, we refuse. They don't want that. No, they want to make everything subjective. Islam, especially Christianity, used to be. It removes the subjectiveness. You know what's right, you know what's wrong. And for anyone who also doesn't believe in God, if these religions are man-made, why do they go against the wills of men? If we're going to make man-made religions, why don't the religions tell us to do all the things we want to do and run around and sin? No, so we need God. And I think that he is our last hope at this point. I think the world is very fundamentally broken, and the demons operate in the shadows, and truth is light, and God is truth. And I think the more you speak the truth, the closer you're going to become to God. And that's why I feel good inside if I sit here and tell the truth. Even if I know that someone's going to watch this podcast in one of those darkened rooms and have new ammunition to put me back in my jail cell. I know that. I know they're going to put it in front of a judge, and they're going to play the clip of when I'm laughing about the Romanian judicial system, and they're going to say, look, he thinks it's all a joke. And they're going to put me back in jail. But I believe in God.